The neutral moon looked like a silver coin in the black sky. A thin ring of ice dust circled it like a quiet crown. From orbit, the peace station shone with soft lights. It was called the Hall of Still Winds. Its curved windows faced the stars, not the war fronts. Ships of many designs drifted toward its docks like calm fish toward a reef. The human shuttle came last. It was small, clean, and unarmed. The hull carried a simple emblem, a steady hand holding a torch. Inside, human Diplomat. Evan Cole sat with his team of 3. He checked a compact med kit, then his translator pin, then the little paper notebook he always kept. He breathed in and out slowly and watched the station grow larger. He had practiced these breaths during old rescue drills on Earth. They calmed his voice and made his mind clear. Across the docking ring, Princess Arya of Velthara stood at a viewport, with 2 royal guards and a court engineer. The princess wore a long cloak of river blue. Her crest pin held a pattern of 3 leaves, the sign of measured judgment in her culture. She was young, but not naive. Stories about humans had reached her ears for years. Some said humans were loud and proud. Others said they were stubborn in a confusing way. Gentle until a line was crossed, and then like a storm. She did not know which story to trust. "Your Highness," said the engineer softly, "the human shuttle is on approach. Docking in 2 minutes." Arya nodded. She kept her eyes on the shuttle. A tiny light blinked near its nose. She thought of her father's warning. Treat them fairly. Expect both courage and caution. She planned to be polite and careful. She would let the human Diplomat speak first. She would measure him by his respect for custom. The shuttle touched the docking collar with a gentle bump. Magnetic clamps hugged the hull. A green status light came to life on the ring. The air pumps hummed, mixing gases to match the station's safe blend. Clear doors slid open. The human team walked out in simple suits with open faces, not helmets. No weapons, no armor plates, no heavy boots. Evan Cole stepped forward. He looked ordinary at first glance. Brown hair, warm eyes, a straight posture. But Arya noticed the small details. He moved with care, like he did not want to startle anyone. He carried his medkit on a shoulder strap as if it were more important than his formal case. He removed his gloves before he offered a greeting. "A sign of trust in many cultures here? Princess Arya of Velthara," he said in clear, slow words. "Thank you for welcoming us to the Hall of Still Winds. I am Evan Cole. It is an honor to meet you." Arya had expected a louder tone. She had expected some proud line about peace through strength. Instead, she heard a gentle voice with steady control. "Welcome, Evan Cole," she replied. "May your steps be quiet and your words be true. Your team will be shown to their rooms. You and I will share tea in the small chamber by the window." Evan bowed a little. "That will be my honor." They walked along the curved corridor. Windows showed the ring of the station and the silver sweep of the moon below. Workers moved along handrails and small utility carts glided by. The station air carried the faint scent of clean metal and warm dust. A soft chime marked the passing of each guard post. Arya spoke first, because silence can feel heavy in a new meeting. "You brought a small team," she said. "Small teams make small footprints," Evan said. "We hope to leave no harm on this place." It was a careful answer. It did not show weakness. It did not show pride. Arya let the words rest in her mind. She glanced at the medkit. "You carry that as if it were part of your hand." "It has been part of my work," Evan said. "On Earth, I trained with rescue crews during storms and fires. I am only a diplomat, but I like to be useful if someone is afraid or hurt." Arya filed that away. Useful, not proud. Calm, not cold. She was not yet impressed, but she was curious. They reached the small tea chamber. It had a low table of woven. metal and 2 chairs with soft backs. A thin pane of glass curved overhead. It showed a strip of stars, like a slow river. An attendant poured a mild golden drink into 2 cups and withdrew without speaking. The room felt private, but not secret. That was important. Nothing in a peace station should feel secret. Evan did not sit until Arya did. He lifted his cup with both hands, as the Veltharan custom required, and waited for Arya to sip first. He had read the guidebook well, or he had listened to his cultural advisor. Either way, he respected the ritual. They were about to begin when a low vibration ran through the floor. It was soft at first, like distant thunder. Then the lights flickered once, paused, and steadied again. A faint error tone hummed and faded. Arya felt her guards tense. She did not stand. She did not want to give fear the first move. The station intercom clicked. Docking ring 3, pressure fluctuation detected. All nearby crews hold position. Engineering en route. Arya frowned. Docking ring 3 was near their corridor. She rose then, calm but alert. "We will step out," she said. "Sometimes the ring loses a seal for a breath or two. It is usually nothing." Evan stood with her. "May I come, Princess?" "You may?" They moved into the corridor. A few workers had already turned their heads toward the sound. A pair of engineers jogged past with tool cases. The air felt normal. The gravity held, but the intercom tone returned, sharper now. Docking ring 3, compartment A12 shows rapid depressurization. Emergency shutters closed on sequence. Medical and security respond. A security guard near them spoke into a wrist mic. A12 is a small transfer tunnel, he said to Arya. It connects to the visiting markets. It is not near any weapons or control rooms. "Let us go," Arya said. Her cloak swirled behind her as she walked. Evan matched her pace easily, not rushing, not dragging. His team stayed back at her gesture. This was not a crowd moment. Too many bodies only made confusion thicker. They reached the entry to A12. The corridor here was narrower, with a grated floor for emergency lines. Yellow lights blinked along the ceiling. A transparent shutter had dropped across the tunnel throat. On the far side, through the clear panel, a small figure huddled. It was a child with a round face and wide eyes. The child pounded weakly at the inner pressure door. Air bubbles fogged around their mouth inside a small emergency mask. Between the child and the watchers, the tunnel space was open to vacuum. A tech shouted, "The outer cuff snapped!" The emergency shutter closed in time, but the inner door jammed. The child is stuck in the pocket. "How long?" Arya asked. 10 minutes of air in that mask, maybe 12 at the child's breath rate, the tech said. His hands shook as he flipped through screens. "The manual crank on our side is seized." "Can we pull the child through the shutter?" a guard asked. "It will not open to vacuum," the tech said. "That is the point of the shutter. We need to close the damaged ring clamp or open the inner door." Evan stepped to the clear panel. He lowered himself until his eyes were level with the child. He lifted one hand, palm out, fingers steady. The child looked back. They're frightened, eyes focused on Evan's calm gesture. Evan tapped his chest twice, then pointed to his mouth, then held up 2 fingers and drew a small circle in the air. The child nodded. They understood the simple motion. Breathe in, breathe out, slowly. "Count to 2, repeat." Evan turned to the tech. "Where is the manual access to the inner door?" he asked. "Through the service shaft," the tech said. "It is small and hot and part of it borders the vacuum space. We keep line tethers there, but the crank at the end might also be jammed. It will take strength and control to move it." "Open it," Evan said. "Sir, you cannot," began a guard. Arya lifted a hand to stop the guard. She looked at Evan. He met her eyes. There was no show in his face. There was no pride. There was focus. She gave a small nod. "Open the shaft," she said. The tech spun a wheel and pulled a panel loose from the floor. Warm air rushed up from the maintenance crawl space. It smelled of oil and dry metal. A coil of line lay in a bracket. Evan slung his med kit on his back, clipped the line to his belt, and gave the other end to the guard. "Hold steady," he said. "If I pull twice, pull me out fast." "You are not station crew," the guard said, troubled. "Right now, I'm a pair of hands," Evan said gently. "Hands are allowed." Arya found herself holding her breath. She forced herself to exhale slowly. She watched Evan lower himself into the narrow shaft. He moved like someone who had done this before. He kept 3 points of contact, set his steps, and never tangled the line. The shaft took a sharp turn. He disappeared for a moment, then his voice came through the panel speaker near the floor. "I see the secondary hatch," he said. I'm moving to the mechanical latch." The child watched the clear panel, still breathing in the slow rhythm Evan had shown. The fog around the mask was not as thick now. The little hands had stopped shaking. Arya pressed her palm to the transparent shutter. The child pressed their small hand to the other side. It was a thin comfort, but it helped. Evan's voice came again, slightly strained. "There is a manual wheel. It is tight. I am using the emergency lever to get more grip. If it moves, the inner door should unlock." "Your line is secure," the guard called. "You have us." "Good," Evan said. "Counting now. 3 turns. 1. His voice marked the effort. Metal groaned. Arya felt the tone through the floor. 2, Evan said. The child lifted their eyes. 3. There was a loud click. The inner door's light flicked from red to amber. The tech shouted, "Lock is free! Child, turn the bar and pull!" The child fumbled, then got their small hands on the inside bar. Morning on the Hall of Still Winds felt gentle. The station lights warmed from soft blue to pale gold. The silver moon turned below like a calm plate. After the rescue in the docking tunnel, people moved more slowly, as if they were walking around. A sleeping child. The intercom spoke in a quiet voice. Crews checked seals twice. Engineers cleaned tools and labeled them with extra care. Princess Arya met Evan Cole in a small observation gallery that looked over the inner gardens. The garden air smelled like wet leaves and clean stone. A thin stream ran along the floor and made a clear sound. Arya stood with her hands folded. Evan came without his full team, only with his medkit and notebook, as always. "Thank you for yesterday," Arya said. "The child is well." Evan's reply was simple. "I am glad." He did not add more, he did not ask for credit. He did not let the moment turn into a story about himself. Arya nodded toward the far door, where a chief engineer waited. "We will walk the ring together," she said. "We will look with our own eyes. After that, I will ask you to take part in a small truth ritual. It is not a trap, it is a bridge." "Thank you for telling me," Evan said. He checked the strap of his medkit, then followed her. The chief engineer, a broad-shouldered Veltharan named Daryl, led them along a service corridor lit by long strips of soft light. He talked as he walked, not to fill silence, but to place. Facts in the air like steady steps. "The failed clamp sat here," Darrell said when they reached docking ring 3. He pointed to a fresh ring panel with new bolts. "We replaced it during the night. We kept the damaged one for study. May we show you the marks?" "Please," Evan said. They entered a clean lab bay. A clear case held the damaged clamp. Fine lines like tiny ladder rungs showed on the metal. Darrell lifted a magnifier to the marks. "These are not age lines," he said. "They are cuts, even, measured, not from a loose tool." Evan leaned close, careful not to touch the case. "So someone made these on purpose," he said in the simple way he always used. He never used big words when small ones were clear. "That is our best reading," Daryl said. "We found metal dust, too. We found a short scrap from a fastener. Security studies those now." Arya watched Evan's face. It did not close. It did not move into anger. He did not defend first. He listened. He breathed in and out slowly. "I can share our tool marks," he said. "You can compare patterns. We can also give you our time logs and our team's path through the station." "That will help," Daryl said. He looked relieved. When a person offers what you need without a fight, the air in a room feels lighter. As they left the lab, the corridor opened onto a public deck with a wide message wall. People were standing near it, reading a set of plain notes. The white page. At the top said, "Facts, not rumors." Under it, short lines listed calm details. Emergency shutter worked as designed. Child was rescued. Investigation continues. There were no names on the page. There were no guesses. Only careful truth. Evan paused to look. A worker in a gray vest stood nearby, watching people read. She looked a little tense, as if she expected someone to shout. Evan turned to Arya. "This wall is good," he said. "Rumors run fast. A wall like this runs steady." Arya felt a small, quiet pride. She had ordered the wall in the night. "We will update it twice a day," she said. "Will you help us keep the facts clear?" "Yes," Evan said. "We will give you what we know." They moved on. At a bend in the deck, a maintenance crew wrestled with a large air filter unit. The filter looked like a big gray drawer. The drawer had stuck. Halfway, two workers pulled, one pushed. The frame made a grinding sound. Daryl frowned. "This unit cannot be down today," he said. "The ritual hall needs full airflow." "I can help if you like," Evan said. He did not step in without permission. He waited for a nod. Daryl gave the nod. "Help then." Evan slipped off his jacket and set his medkit aside within easy reach. He asked the crew, "May I touch? May I show?" They nodded. He crouched by the frame and sighted along the rails with one eye. "The rail is bent," he said. "The drawer tilts and binds. We can shim the low side so it rides level, then pull out and replace the bent piece later." He looked around. "Do you have firm paper or thin plastic? A piece the size of my hand?" A worker ran to a supply locker and came back with stiff packing sheets. Evan folded one into a long strip, slid it under the low side of the drawer, and tapped it in with the edge of his hand. "Try now," he said. The crew pulled. The drawer eased out with a soft scrape and settled on the shims. Inside, the filter. Pads were dusty and dark. Evan pointed to the pads. "We can make a quick patch while you cut new pads," he said. "Use the clean side of old pads, add a layer of cloth, then a thin layer of carbon if you have it. Tie with wire at 4 corners so it stays flat." He spoke in small steps. He used his notebook to draw a simple picture with arrows and squares. He wrote the steps in short words. Lift, turn, press, tie, check. He gave the paper to the crew. "Keep this. Copy it. Do not rely on me being near. You can do it yourselves." The crew smiled. Relief replaced worry on their faces. One worker, a young man with dark eyes, gave a small laugh. "I thought you were someone important," he said without thinking. Then he flushed, afraid he had been rude. Evan only smiled. "I am a pair of hands," he said. "Hands are important too." The short lesson was small, but news of small help spreads fast in a station. By the time they reached the ritual hall, 3 workers had already told 9 more that the human diplomat fixed a stuck filter with folded paper and a pencil drawing. The story had no grand words, but it had weight. The ritual hall itself was a simple circle with a clear ceiling where stars moved slowly. A ring of low seats sat around a shallow bowl of water. The water was very still. A narrow shelf held small cups and clean cloths. A single beam of soft light came down from above and fell on the water like a blessing. Arya stood by the doorway and spoke softly. This is the cup of clear water. In this ritual, we remove gloves, we share one cup, and we speak without titles or praise. We say only what we believe is true. If we do not know, we say unknown. We show our hands at all times. We do not raise our voices. If anger rises, we hold the cloth and cool our hands. These rules are simple. Do you accept them? I accept, Evan said. Delegates from 5 groups joined them. A tall, feather-crested envoy from a trade world. A quiet, scaled mediator from a river moon. 2 Veltharan elders, and a small, gray-furred archivist whose whiskers trembled when he was nervous. An elderly Kira delegate named Meru came last, walking with a helper and a thin cane. Meru had kind eyes and slow steps. He was known for asking questions that made people stop and think. The ritual began. Arya took off her gloves and set them on the shelf. Evan did the same. Arya lifted the cup with both hands, drank a small sip, and passed it to the person on her right. Each person drank a little and wiped the rim with a clean cloth. When the cup reached Evan, he paused a moment, met Arya's eyes for consent, and then drank. He wiped the cup carefully and passed it on. Arya spoke first, as host. "We gather," she said. "We ask simple questions. We listen. Who will ask first?" The feather-crested envoy raised one hand. "Evan Cole," he said, gentle and direct. "Why did you enter our maintenance shaft yesterday? You are a diplomat. It was not your work." Evan's answer was short. "A child was afraid," he said. "I had training. I had a line. I could fit. It looked like my work in that moment." The envoy tilted his head. "Were you afraid?" "Yes," Evan said. He did not smile. He did not pretend to be a hero. "I was afraid. I counted breaths to keep my hands steady. I used the wheel because the door needed it." The gray-furred archivist's whiskers twitched. "Do you know who cut the clamp?" "Unknown," Evan said. The word did not feel like a wall. It felt like a true stone placed in a correct spot. Arya asked a small question. "Will you give your teams tool marks and logs?" "Yes," Evan said. "All of them." Meru, the elderly Kira, lifted his cup and took a tiny sip. His hands trembled a little. He set the cup down and leaned forward a bit. "Did you expect praise for the rescue?" he asked Evan. His voice was kind. He did not mean harm. He was testing pride gently, like a finger tests a knot. "No," Evan said. "I expected a closed door, and the need to try again if the wheel did not turn. Praise is not a door. It does not open anything that is stuck." Some people smiled at that. Meru smiled too. He opened his mouth to ask a new question, then stopped. A small frown crossed his face. He lifted a hand to his chest and breathed a little faster. His helper touched his arm. "Elder?" the helper asked softly. Meru did not answer right away. He blinked as if the room had gone bright. The envoy from the trade world looked worried. Arya reached for the cloth on the shelf. Evan did not stand suddenly. He did not make a rush that would break the calm. He spoke with care. "Meru," he said, dropping all titles as the ritual required. "May I help?" Meru nodded once, small and grateful. Evan held up his empty hands so all could see them. He moved in a slow, simple way that showed respect for the ritual. He kneeled by Meru's chair. "I will touch your wrist," he said. "Only there." He waited for a second nod. Then he placed 2 fingers on Meru's wrist and counted in his head. The pulse was a little fast and weak. The air in the room felt warmer than before. The filter crew had stopped the gap, but the hall was still catching up. "Elder feels heat," Meru's helper whispered. "And a little lightheaded." Evan looked up at Arya. "We can use the ritual." The air in the Hall of Still Winds felt heavier as Sector 2's coolant pump warning rolled through the station. The deep tone kept echoing at regular beats, like a slow drum that reminded everyone, this is not over yet. Evan Cole ran alongside. Chief Engineer Durrell through narrow service corridors. The metal grates under their boots gave off small, hollow sounds. Their steps matched, steady but fast. Neither spoke for the first 100 meters. There was no time for talk. Princess Aria had stayed behind in the central hub to coordinate. Her voice came into Evan's earpiece, calm and clear. Sector 2, temperature rising. Current reading, 6 degrees above safe. Vent teams are in position. Water lines are running. Copy, Evan said. He didn't waste words. They reached the pump chamber's outer door. 2 Veltaran engineers stood there in light protective suits, faces tense. Heat shimmered faintly in the air around them. Even from this distance, Evan could feel it. What's the status? Darrell asked. Pump jammed at half cycle, one engineer said quickly. Auto coolers overloaded. Manual override inside is possible, but we have venting steam and metal swell. You'll need someone to release the emergency valve in the crawl space. Darrell turned to Evan. It's small and close quarters. Too hot for more than 3 minutes. Evan gave a quick nod. Then we count. He checked the tether line coiled by the hatch. Secure this to me, he told one of the engineers. On my signal, pull hard if I stop moving. Darrell gave him a quick, searching look. You sure you want to do this? You're here as a diplomat, not crew. Evan's voice stayed even. Right now, I'm here as the person who fits and knows the steps. Aria's voice came again through the earpiece. Evan, describe the space for me. Half-meter wide shaft, 10 meters in, valve at end, Evan replied. Steam pockets, so vision will be low. There was a brief pause, then Aria's answer. Proceed. We will keep time. The hatch wheel turned with a hard, metallic squeak. Heat rolled out like a breath from an oven. Evan ducked in, moving on hands and knees. The metal felt warm even through his gloves. His breaths stayed slow, counting silently. 1 in, 1 out, 2 in, 2 out. The crawl space was narrow, with pipes running along one side. Small bursts of steam hissed from worn seals, leaving droplets on his visor. He wiped them with the back of his glove without slowing. His focus was on the red-painted valve at the far end. When he reached it, the metal was already hot. He gripped it with both hands and leaned his weight. The wheel refused to turn at first. The heat tried to push him back, but Evan pressed in harder, using his legs for force. 1 turn, he called out, voice echoing in the small space. From his earpiece, Aria's voice counted seconds. 45. Evan pushed again. The valve squealed. 2 turns. Steam hissed louder from a side pipe, but he ignored it. 1 last pull. The wheel shifted fully. A deep groan ran through the shaft as pressure moved. 3 turns. Valve open, Evan said. He heard Darrell's voice, sharp with relief. Pump cycle restarting. Sector temp stabilizing. Get him out. The tether pulled gently first. Then, more firmly. Evan backed out, boots scraping against the grate floor until the cooler air of the outer chamber reached him. He sat down for just 1 breath, pulling his visor up to feel the faint breeze from the vent above. Darrell clapped a hand on his shoulder. Not hard, but with a quiet weight of thanks. That's one, Evan said, still breathing steadily. How's the vent sequence? An engineer held up a tablet. Vent teams following your 1, 2, 3. Count. Airflow's up. No hot spots past threshold. Aria's voice came again, lighter now. The station owes you twice in 2 days, Evan Cole. Not me, Evan replied, shaking his head. It's everyone turning the wheels. A sudden threat. The relief lasted only minutes. Evan and Darrell had just stepped back into the central deck when a ripple passed through the crowd, a hush that moved faster than any alarm. People were looking toward the far edge of the market deck, where a hooded figure stood near the viewing rail. Princess Aria had also seen it. She was coming down the main ramp with her guards when she froze mid-step. The hooded figure had a small metallic device in their hand, pointed subtly in her direction. Evan noticed the reflection first. A glint from the device's side caught the light above the rail. Without thinking, he moved, crossing between Arya and the figure. The hooded figure flinched, shifting the device. Evan held out both hands, palms open, fingers spread, to show. He carried nothing. "Talk to me," Evan said, his voice low but firm. The figure's breathing was fast, visible in the space between cloth folds. "You should not be here," they said in a sharp whisper. "Why?" Evan asked calmly. "Because peace will starve us," the figure replied. Arya took a step closer, but Evan made a slight motion with one hand. "Stay back." "Peace takes away someone's profit?" Evan guessed. The figure hesitated. "Guild pays. For war parts. No war, no pay. We are told to end the talks." Behind the hood, the person's eyes darted left and right, looking for a path. Evan didn't move to grab them. He kept his voice even. "You were sent with that device to hurt someone important, so the talks would fail." The figure's silence was answer enough. "Do you know what will happen if you use it?" Evan asked. "You think the guild will thank you?" "No. They will say you failed them in another way. And the station will remember your face, not theirs." The hood shifted. The figure's grip loosened slightly. Arya's guards moved slowly around, the sides, not making sudden moves. The figure finally exhaled, long and shaking. They turned the device in their hand and placed it gently on the floor. A guard stepped forward to take it. Another eased the hood back. The attacker was young, barely. "Past adolescence, eyes tired and skin pale." "I didn't want to," the youth said. "They promised payment for my brother's medicine, and a way off my home rock." Arya's voice stayed level. "You will tell us about them. We will get your brother help, but you will not be their weapon again." The youth nodded, shame mixing with relief. Connecting the dots later, in a secure chamber, the council examined the device and the youth's statement. It all pointed back to the same shadow, a war profiteer guild that thrived on fear between systems. Evan stood near the evidence table, listening as council members debated punishment and next steps. One elder wanted the youth imprisoned immediately, as an example. Another argued for trial. Evan waited until there was a pause before speaking. "If you punish them as if they are the guild itself, you lose a witness," he said. "If you give them fair treatment, they will tell you how the guild works." The room went quiet. Arya tilted her head. "And you believe them?" "I believe that people do desperate things when they're cornered," Evan said. "The guild cornered this one. The more important thing is stopping the ones holding the corners." The elder who had wanted an example frowned, but said nothing. More, a public forum area made the choice the next day, an open forum. The youth would speak, the evidence would be shown, and the council would clear the human team's name publicly. The forum deck filled with citizens, workers, and off-world visitors. The message wall displayed a simple header, "Facts only, Arya." Stood at the center with Evan nearby. The youth told their story in halting words, the promise of payment, the delivery of the device, the instructions to aim for the princess. Then they pointed to the evidence table, marks on the wrench from Ring 3, payment records traced to the guild's accounts, and surveillance showing the unauthorized crawler near the clamp before the failure. Gasps moved through the crowd. When the pieces connected, Arya raised her voice just enough to carry. "The human team is cleared. The sabotage was not theirs. The danger came from those who profit when trust breaks." Evan did not step forward for attention. He stayed slightly to the side, arms folded, listening to the crowd's shift from suspicion to relief. Repairing trust after the forum, station workers approached the human team without hesitation for the first time. A Veltharan maintenance chief even offered Evan a small silver token, shaped like the station's emblem, as thanks. Arya noticed the change, too. "You could take pride in this," she said quietly, as they walked back toward the garden gallery. Evan gave a faint smile. "Pride doesn't fix broken clamps or coolant pumps." Arya's smile was a little warmer than before. "No, but it can give strength, and sometimes it tells people their hands were steady when it mattered." New danger on the horizon. The calm lasted less than a day. A scout ship returning from patrol came in with urgent news. A flotilla of armed ships was approaching the moon. They flew no single flag, but scans showed the guild's markings hidden in their signal code. The flotilla's stated mission: secure the site for safety. But everyone knew what that meant: intimidation, pressure, and possibly the end of the talks. The council gathered in the strategy chamber. Arya stood at the central table, eyes moving over the incoming data. The flotilla would be in comm range within hours. The station's defenses were minimal, enough for pirates, not a coordinated fleet. "If anyone fires first," one elder warned, "the treaty will die before the ink is dry." The room was heavy with tension. All eyes eventually turned to Arya, and then to Evan. The plan even studied the incoming ship patterns. His brow furrowed slightly. "If we meet them with force, we play into their plan. They want fear. They want the talks to end." "Then what do you suggest?" asked an elder with folded arms. "Show them unity they can't fake," Evan said. "Open every viewport. Let them see mixed crews working side by side. Broadcast the forum from—" The small shuttle slid into the black like a quiet seed leaving a branch. Its hull lights glowed in a simple line: front, mid, tail. No shields, no weapons on line. The Hall of Still Winds grew smaller behind it, a curved ring around the silver. Moon. Evan Cole sat in the right-hand chair, hands relaxed on his knees. Princess Arya sat to his left, cloak pinned with her three-leaf crest. Neither wore armor. Both wore calm. "Open broadcast," Arya said. Her voice was steady. The station link answered with a soft tone. On every public screen across the station, markets, kitchens, repair bays, the image appeared. The shuttle drifting toward distant shapes of metal and light. The flotilla was not one design. It was many ships hired together, a patchwork of hard edges and blunt bows. Their running lights made a slow pattern, like a net closing. Evan spoke first, not to the ships, but to the station. "We are here," he said, simple as always. "We will keep this open," Chief Engineer Durrell answered from the station hub. "We see you," he said. The camera in his hand panned. The feed showed mixed teams at the vents, Veltharan and Human and River Moon, folk passing tools and water. Children sat in a school ring listening to a calm story. In a kitchen, cooks stacked cups beside warm pots. The message wall glowed with a new line: "We work together." "Good," Arya said. "Keep showing that." Evan nodded once, then focused. "Forward." "Hailing the flotilla lead," he said into the shuttle mic. "This is the shuttle Steady Hand from the Hall of Still Winds. Passenger, Princess Arya of Velthara. Speaker, Evan Cole, Human Diplomat. Request open talk on recorded line." Silence. Then a tight, clipped voice replied, "Shuttle Steady Hand, identify purpose." "To show you what is true," Evan said, "and to invite your captain to see it with her own eyes." Another brief silence. The flotilla's lights adjusted as small craft took escort positions. The recorded line clicked. A new voice came on, lower and measured. "This is Captain Mara Vesk, temporary commander of the security flotilla," the voice said. "State again, no shields, no weapons?" "None," Evan said. "And you, Princess, do you come of your own will?" "I do," Arya replied. "I also come with an open broadcast to our citizens. They see and hear everything." "Brave," Vesk said, not unkindly. "Or foolish," Sometimes both looked the same at first, Arya said. There was a faint sound on the line, like a hand, covering a mic and moving away. Then Captain Vesk spoke again. Approach to 5,000 meters. Hold. We will scan your hull and your line. Understood, Evan said. He eased the shuttle to the mark. The flotilla grew large in the forward screen. 3 medium cruisers, 4 escorts, and a scatter of small cutters. Their hulls showed painted numbers, but here and there a darker sigil winked under sensor light, the guild's private mark. Half hidden, Arya noticed that too. "Do your ships all answer to you, Captain?" she asked. "They answer to my flag," Vesk said slowly. "Today that flag is security." "Why do you ask?" "Because there are other marks under your numbers," Arya replied. "Marks from those who earn coin when fear rises." Evan did not add more. He let the words breathe. "Scan complete," Vesk said. "Your shuttle is as you said. You ask for open talk, so speak." Evan kept his tone level and his phrases short. "Yesterday, a child almost died in a seal pocket. We saved the child. Later, a coolant pump stalled. We fixed it. We found that both incidents were not accidents. We traced them to a guild that profits from long, slow war. They do not want peace here. They sent a device and a young courier. The courier put down the device and told the truth. We opened a forum and showed the evidence. We cleared my team publicly. All of this is recorded. People say many things," Vesk said. "Evidence can be arranged." "Yes," Evan said. "That is why we invite you to see the raw pieces yourself." "And if I refuse?" Vesk asked. "Then your crews and the stations that watch our broadcast will wonder why," Arya said, in that same calm voice she used in the ritual hall. "They will ask if you came for safety or for noise." Silence again. On the station screens, workers paused to listen. In small mess rooms across the flotilla, crews looked up from bowls and cups. Finally, Vesk made her choice. "You will dock. With my flagship under guard," she said. "You will bring what you claim to have. Raw logs, raw images. You will be searched. If anything is false, I will turn this net tight." "We agree," Arya said. "And we ask one thing. Keep the broadcast open. I will allow a narrow feed to my bridge," Vesk said. "No wider." "Then we invite you to open your own feed to your crews," Evan said. "If you will not, we will speak plain to those in the room and let your crews judge by what their captain chooses to hide." A soft breath came over the line. It might have been a laugh or just a long exhale. "You bargain like a traitor," Vesk said. "Fine. The bridge feed will be open to my ship. Your words will be heard by many." "Thank you," Evan said. Docking with the flagship was slow and careful. A service arm reached out and held the shuttle close. The lock cycled. The inner door opened to a clean corridor with gray walls and a line of lights down the center like a path. 2 officers waited with scan wands. Their faces were polite and closed. They checked the shuttle, then the med kit, then the small case of data tablets. They found nothing hidden because there was nothing to find. Captain Mara Vesk met them at the end of the path. She was tall and spare, with sharp eyes set in a calm face. She wore no ornament. A simple armband showed her duty mark. Behind her stood 2 aides and a single man in a dark coat, whose badge did not show a ship or a station, just a plain circle. "Welcome," Vesk said. "We will be brief. Many eyes watch us." "Good," Arya said. "Eyes keep hands honest." Vesk led them onto the bridge. It was wide and quiet. Stations faced forward. The main screen showed the peace station, small and bright. Along one side wall, a row of display squares glowed. Each square was a crew room feed, a mess hall, a small gym, a tool bay. The open bridge link was real. People watched. Vesk gestured to a table. Place your evidence. Evan set the tablets down and keyed the first. We brought 3 streams, he said. First, raw maintenance cams near docking ring 3. Second, tool mark scans. Third, payment chain logs tied to a courier's key. The man in the dark. Coat shifted. His eyes moved to the payment logs and stayed there. 2 long seconds too long. Evan saw it. He did not look at the man again. He kept his pace simple. Daryl's voice came over the narrow feed, clear and practical. Streaming ring 3 raw now. On the bridge, the forward screen split. One half kept the outside view. The other half showed a plain corridor by a clamp. Ring. There was no sound at first, just timestamps and quiet movement. A crawler rolled into view with a valid ID glowing blue. It stopped by the clamp and paused just long enough for hands to leave a mark. The ID stayed blue the whole time. Then the crawler rolled away. Vesk leaned in. The ID is valid. It is borrowed, Evan said, and pressed the second file. A maintenance roster appeared with a different crawler assigned across the ring at that minute. The real user was never near this clamp. One of Vesk's aides checked their own console and nodded once. Roster matches, they said softly. Evan opened the tool marks file. The screen filled with magnified metal, fine, even cuts. Arrows showed angles. Beside it, a human wrench's tooth pattern did not match. This is ours, Evan said, tapping the wrench. This is the mark, not ours. A murmur moved through the bridge, not loud, a shift of breath. In the row of crew room squares, faces leaned closer. Third stream, Evan said. Payments. The youth who carried a device had a log key. With their consent, we traced a seed payment to a dummy account, then to a private guild ledger. The man in the dark coat took a half-step forward. This is not a court, he said. His voice was smooth. These are claims without proper seals. Names? Vesk asked him, eyes still on the screen. The man lifted his chin. I serve commerce, he said. The guild funds are licensed across many houses. It is normal to see their marks near. Supply lines for security. Supply for what? Arya asked. Food, medicine, or fear? The man did not answer. His hand stayed very still at his side. On the screen, the payment chain moved again, small arrows linking dates and sums. One line blinked red. Daryl's voice came through. Captain Vesk, your own small Corvette Harrow relayed a packet from the private ledger 3 hours ago. I see it in the logs. It looks like routine bandwidth, but the headers match the youth's. Key family. The Harrow is on your right flank now. The bridge went very quiet. Captain Vesk's eyes hardened, not with anger, but with focus. Comms, she said. Verify that packet. A comms officer checked, then checked again. Cheeks flushing. Verified, they said. It passed like ordinary traffic. I did not flag it. Vesk pointed to the dark-coated man. Did you ride that packet? She asked. I manage contracts for equipment, the man said, still smooth. I ensure supplies reach ships that keep order. I also advise on how to stand close. To captains and whisper, Arya said softly. On how to call fear, order. The row of crew room squares showed people sitting up straighter. On one screen, someone folded their arms. On another, a mechanic took off his cap and set it down like a line in the dust. Evan did not push. He simply turned one more tablet and showed a simple list. We learned a little from the youth who tried to harm us, he said. We learned the words your guild uses in orders. There is a code phrase. Secure the site for safety. Behind that simple phrase is a longer rule. Do not fire first, but provoke a fall. Morning came to the Hall of Still Winds like a slow light opening. The station lamps shifted from deep blue to soft gold. The silver moon turned below, quiet and bright. Today was the day of the open signing. The message wall already showed the First line of the morning. Open signing at midday. Broadcast to all crews. Princess Arya walked the ring before most people were awake. She liked to see the station begin its day. Cooks rolled carts from kitchens, gardeners misted leaves, children whispered until they forgot to whisper and then laughed. Arya stopped once at the window that faced the flotilla. The ships held their watch pattern like a calm circle. She could almost feel the crews on those ships standing at their own windows, looking back. Evan Cole met her at the garden hall. He looked rested, but there was still that careful breath in his chest, like a quiet engine set to a steady speed. He carried his small notebook and, as always, the medkit. He did not make a speech. He simply nodded once. "Today we sign," Arya said. "And we teach," Evan said. He meant the small class he had planned. It was simple. 10 crew members from the flotilla, 10 from the station, plus a few children and elders. He would teach the cup of clear water ritual with steps a child could follow. He would also teach quick, calm methods to check rumors and help a frightened person breathe. Arya had given the class a name on the wall, Steady Hands Session. They started early in a side room near the forum deck. The room had a round table, a bowl of water, a stack of cups, and a tray of clean cloths. The window looked on the inner garden where a small bird sat on a thin branch and blinked. People came in quietly. A cutter pilot, a ship cook, a cargo, loader, a station gardener, a child with a rescued child's smile, 2 elders, and a young engineer from the Harrow who looked a little shy. Evan spoke gently. "We keep rules simple," he said. "Hands visible, words short. Begin with water, end with one true line." He showed the cup and the cloth the way Arya had shown him. He asked consent before he touched either. He made a small drawing in his notebook of hands, cup, cloth, and a circle with an arrow. He wrote under it, "Start calm, end true." They practiced. A pilot with a quick voice slowed down to match the room. A child learned to pass the cloth with 2 hands. The young engineer smiled when the elder repeated a line from yesterday. "Calm hands save many days." At the end, each person spoke one sentence. The gardener said, "I can teach this to my crew." The pilot said, "I will show this to my captain." The child said, "I will show my friends how to breathe in circles." Evan wrote each line down, and Arya watched trust rise like warm air. After the session, Arya and Evan walked to a small holding room. The youth who had carried the device sat there with a guard. The guard held a tablet and a quiet story. The youth looked up and stood. Their eyes were clear but careful. "You will go home when the council says," Arya told the youth. "Until then, you will study and help us prepare messages that warn others about tricks that use hunger and fear." The youth nodded. "I will. I want my brother to see better days." They paused, then added, "I am sorry for what I carried," Arya answered in a steady voice. "You put it down. That matters." Evan gave the youth a copy of the drawing from the class. Hands, cup, cloth, circle. "Teach this to your brother," he said. "Start calm, end true." The youth held the paper like a small treasure. By mid-morning, the station looked ready. Banners of plain cloth hung in the forum. Deck, not for show but to soften echoes. The message wall displayed a short program. Welcome, evidence recap, open statements, the moon of steady hands, accord, witness sign, shared vow. Arya had asked Darrell to check every camera and every backup line twice. He did, and then he checked them a 3rd time, because he knew the guild still had quiet hands somewhere. Captain Mara Vesk arrived an hour before the signing. She brought 2 officers and a recorder. She also brought something unexpected. 3 crew volunteers from different ships who had watched yesterday's broadcast and asked to come. Vesk introduced them by function, not by rank. "Cook, mechanic, sailor," she said. Their faces were open in that way you see when someone has already decided to be fair. Arya welcomed them and led them to the ritual hall for a brief visit. She did not press them to speak. She only showed the bowl and the cloth and explained the rules. Vesk looked at the water for a long breath and then said, "After we sign, I will enter this circle. I will say one true line. At the edge of the forum deck, in a quiet cell, the man in the dark coat waited. He did not look worried. His eyes were pale and narrow. He had many plans. Some would fail. One might land. 2 guards stood outside his door, but the door was not the only path. He knew that. He had written half the old playbook the guild used. If you cannot stop a signing by force, stop it by noise. If you cannot break the beam, fog the lens. If you cannot knock down a person, make them look like a person to fear. At 1:30 hour, a small trick did come. A forged message slipped into a side screen. Evacuate for safety. Vent leak near forum. The letters were neat and serious. A few people turned, ready to move. Another trick rose on a ship, a low-band buzz that tried to blur voices without raising any clear alarm. The guild liked such low tricks. They were cheap and they worked often, but the station had learned. The message wall flashed a calm note in larger text. Check by 2 steps. Hold your place. Breathe. Arya raised her hand for silence and spoke on the open feed, slow and clear. Do not rush. Check your step with a second source. If the message did not come from this wall or from the chief engineer, it is not for you. Daryl spoke next. No vent leak. The air is clean. Evan added one small instruction that made sense to everyone who had worked the pumps. If a message tries to push, count 1, 2, and ask if the push helps safety or fear. The small wave of motion in the crowd settled. People turned back. To the front. On the flotilla, low buzz faded as the Harrow's comms team cut a second suspicious string. In the quiet cell, the man in the dark coat did not blink. He only changed his plan to the next one and waited. Midday came. The forum deck filled. The recorder light on Vesk's shoulder shone. The station's broadcast icon glowed on the message. Wall. Arya stood at the center with Evan on her right. Vesk stood to Arya's left, arms behind her back, face calm. The rescued child sat in the front row, swinging their feet a little but trying to look serious. Arya began with what people already knew. She did not give a long speech. She showed 3 frames: the seal pocket rescue, the pump crawl space, the open forum, where the youth had spoken and the crew room squares had watched. She said only 1 sentence for each frame. Here, hands turned a wheel. Here, hands opened a valve. Here, hands told truth. Darrell spoke next with short facts. Tool marks did not match human gear. A crawler ID was borrowed, a private ledger sent payment strings. A micro-jammer string was cut before it could fog our band. He did not make any sound large. He let the facts place themselves like clean stones. Captain Vesk stepped forward. She kept her eyes on her crew recorder as if she were speaking, to large rooms of people she knew well. I saw the raw logs, she said. I stood in the pump room. I read the roster and watched the crawler borrow a skin that was not its own. I watched a packet try to hide as a useful thing when it was not. The guild's ways are not new. They grow where light is thin. She turned to Arya. I will witness your signing. My ships will not block this ring. If any ship under my flag tries to frighten this station, it will be sent home empty. A small sound moved through the crowd like wind through grass. It was not loud, but it was full. Arya lifted a plain slate with simple lettering. This is the moon of steady hands. Accord, she said. It does 3 modest things. 1, it creates joint rescue teams of mixed crews trained in the same steps. 2, it sets a shared wall of facts where rumors are washed away twice each day. 3, it declares that all stations in this district can send 1 person every month to learn the cup of clear water ritual and carry it home. She set the slate on the table. She signed first with a stylus that made letters appear as if they were slowly woven. Evan signed next, not as a captain of anything, but as a witness for the human side. He wrote his name with careful strokes, not too big, not too small. Vesk signed as a witness, too. Her letters were sharp and fast. Then Daryl signed for the staff of the station. Then, in a small surprise Arya had planned, the rescued child put a tiny thumb mark in the corner. A second line appeared on the wall. Signed, 1203. Just then, the last plan in the quiet cell moved. A small drone inside the outer wall woke with a whisper and drifted toward the roof struts of the forum deck. It carried no blast. That would be too loud, too simple to stop. It carried only dust and thin film meant to blur lenses and make faces look wrong. Its code name said the goal clearly: make fear. Evan did not see the drone. He saw a reflection of it in a polished strip by the high window, a soft, dark shape where no shape should be. He had learned to watch edges and small windows during storm drills long ago. He lifted his hand and touched his earpiece. "Darrell," he said, so low it did not scare anyone. "Check the top strut. I think there is a small visitor." Darrell's reply was just as calm. "On it." He sent 2 maintenance workers by the quiet path above the ceiling panels with net sticks and simple tape. He did not sound any alarm. He did not add fear to the air. The workers moved like gardeners reek.